Welcome to Scoop Winners Wednesday. We got breaking news. Malik Murphy is in the portal. Very interesting five-star candidate from Texas. He is sandwiched between Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. Decided to dip out this afternoon. Very interesting name for Ryan Day. He fits exactly what Ryan wants. So that is a quarterback we've been waiting to see jump in the portal, and now he's in the portal. So we're going to get into that. Also, a lot of portal movement today. Kyle McCord not going to Nebraska. Carter Smith back to Indiana. We're going to break all that down. Bowl practice starts in heavy force tomorrow. They had 3 workouts last week. They've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, big time practices for these guys, very physical practices. So we're going to get you all the information on that. And we're going to kick it. We're going to take your super chats. As always, we appreciate you guys. Our super chats and our Scoop Ultra memberships are all going to our Pay It Forward fund, which takes care of our active military. Again, we donate a lot of memberships to the active military this time of year for Christmas. So if you guys have a super chat, if you guys have a question you're dying to have answered, send us a super chat. It's going right to our military friends to take care of them a little bit. Again, it's something that we love doing. We love our military. We love our police people. So we appreciate all you guys as always supporting that. So thank you so much this time of the year. It's time to give, and it's time to take care of people that are in some situations that obviously they'd rather be around their families, but they're taking care of us and helping us out. So thank you for all that. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. As always, our audiences have been massive. We appreciate you guys supporting us and being a part of the crew. We love kicking it with you guys, as always, taking your questions, breaking stuff down, and having a blast. So thank you guys. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out to my Southern Ohio boys. As always, Portsmouth, Ohio, Chesapeake, Ohio, Jackson, Ohio, down south, my homies. Naples, Florida, Fort Myers, Punta Gorda. I've seen all you guys popping in there. So Florida, Ohio, Texas, California, Georgia, wherever you guys are watching from, shout out where you guys are watching from. And I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Who do you project as a starting quarterback in 2024? Is it Malik Murphy, Devin Brown? Is it somebody else? I want to hear it. Put it in the comments. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to bring in our starting quarterback, Nevada Buck. Malik Murphy jumped into the portal. Obviously, we've got a pretty decent source at Texas. This is something that was projected a while ago. Between Quinn Ewers, who's staying for a 4th year, which is kind of unexpected, and then Arch Manning, who is a true superstar. He was kind of the odd man out. I think Sark kind of gave him a gentle nudge to get him into the portal, to find him a good resting home. I'm sure Sark will try to get him the best spot he can, but when Quinn leaves after year 4, then Arch will take over, and they'll be all good at Texas. But what do you make of Malik Murphy, and how would he fit into Ryan Day's offense at Ohio State?
Well, first of all, I think this one's a little different than you might have think. I mean, I think Texas was caught a little off guard by this announcement today. I mean, I think Texas had really kind of had an agreement with Murphy that they weren't going to do anything until later, and Malik, and that was what they thought. They had that agreement in place as of just a few hours ago, and then Murphy pulled the trigger and said, "No, I'm leaving. I'm going to the portal." So, I think there's a little bit of semi-chaos going on down there at Texas. Look, Murphy was high up on Ohio State's list when he came out of California, went to Texas. When you see this kid, he's just an amazing athlete, just a big raw kid, but just so almost like a piece of clay that you can tell that Ryan Day would love to sculpt. But will Ohio State really jump in and go after a kid like this? Not sure, but he is an intriguing name. He is a big name, and he is a name that we've been waiting on because we knew that this was going to happen, and sure enough, it happened.
Yeah, I think he's a star. I think he's a guy that, if Ryan get a hold of him, you get him for at least 2 years, kind of like Justin Fields. I don't think he's at Fields' level, but this is a guy that was a top 5-ish type guy in the country. Again, we kind of skipped a cycle because we were indoctrinated by the realists. Don't take a superstar quarterback. Don't talk to Malik Murphy. We'll have a bridge guy, a Brock Glenn. We'll have Lincoln Keenholz. So we kind of skipped out on Dante Moore, skipped out on Malik Murphy, and here he is. And he's a guy that I think's got a lot of ability. I started a game versus BYU when Quinn was hurt. I think he's a difference maker. I don't think, honestly, if you had me rank all of the quarterbacks in the portal based on their talent and their duration of stay, he's my number 1 guy by far. Cam Ward's a nice player, but he's here for 1 year. This kid you get at least for 2 years. So very interesting. I already got Super Chat fired up. Appreciate the super chat, Ryan. Again, Ryan Coolidge, you're the man. Thanks for the 10. You're on here every night. So thanks so much. A little concerned about the state of the running back room. How are you guys feeling about it? What scholarship players do we have in the room? Imagine we need at least one transfer target, even if Trey Henderson stays. Nevada, I'm never concerned about the running back room because we got Dallin Hayden. James Peoples will be here. If we hang on to Jordan Lyle, if we do, great. If not, we'll be okay. But your thoughts on the running back room? Again, even if Trey takes off, like, as long as you got three guys, you'll be fine. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of go both ways. I think I could argue this one either out of either side of my mouth on this one. Obviously, if Trey comes back, which is, again, as of today, that's still the word around the Woody Hayes that he's coming back. We will see. We've taken kind of a position of we'll believe that when we see it. But, if Trey comes back, you've got Trey, Dallin, you've got Peoples, you have potentially Jordan Lyle. If he doesn't come back and you do lose Lyle, then what are you down to? Dallin Hayden and James Peoples? That's a little thin. So, I think, I think it's one of those situations where I think for Ohio State, they like what they have at the top end of that, but from a depth standpoint, it wouldn't be much, and it wouldn't take many injuries. We've seen us go 3, 4, 5 deep into our running back room in seasons not too long ago. Who would that be right now? That'd be like Ryan Day's son or something like that. We'd be pulling out as like the 5th running back. It'd be pretty bleak if that happened. So let's hope Trey stays and let's hope Lyle sticks. And if he does, then I think we'll be just fine. If either of those two things change, then you might have to go portal shopping.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Like, I mean, if Trey takes off, we're kind of up the creek right now. But when there's great displacement, there's also great opportunity. If Trey takes off, then again, the portal, there's a window right now that leads up until after the bowl games, and then there's a portal window after spring where things kind of get settled down a little bit and you kind of figure out where you're at. And it's like, if we're at two, if we say doomsday scenario, Trey goes pro, Jordan Lyle goes to the U, which is like a big rumor right now that he gets flipped, and your James Peoples and your whoever. I mean, you're down to the nitty gritty at that point. Chip took off, Trey takes off. It's Dallin Hayden and James Peoples. Like, you can go shopping for a premier back and just go write him a check. Say, hey, Kroger, do you want him to, endorse your ibuprofen and your bananas or whatever you want him to sell? Like, that's what we need because we need a tailback. So, again, I think if that room empties out, you can go get a superstar and have him be the dude, and have Dallin be the 2, and have James Peoples kind of be the 2A, 2B, whatever. But I just don't sweat it because I think that playing running back at Ohio State is such a prestigious position. I think if a kid can come in and ball out, again, like the Doak Walker Award winner from Oklahoma State is literally in the portal right now. He won the award, walked up the stage and entered the portal because he wanted to go get that bag. So I always think you can find running backs. It's just like in the NFL, NFL teams don't take running backs high because they can find them anywhere. And I think there will be kids that'll be dying to play at Ohio State with Ennis and Tate and JJ Smith keeping the box nice and light. You're not gonna have a safety down in the box when you get those guys at receiver. So again, I don't sweat it. We got another super chat. I'm gonna get into this. Sean Krutka, appreciate you, brother. As always, you're in here every night. Thank you so much, my man. Can't imagine OSU looking at Murphy. Multi-year guy would definitely clear out this room. It just depends on how good they think he is. I think he's pretty good. I think he's a guy that started a game this year, did a good job versus BYU. They got the dub. Quinn was out. Quinn he got dinged up a little bit, but I think it just depends on what Ryan wants. Because again, it's always a double-edged sword. If you go out and get a portal guy, you're gonna clear that room out real quick. I mean, the quarterback thing is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. The quarterback dads are crazy, and it's not that they're just crazy, but it's like this is a business decision. These guys got to figure out: am I going to get a fair shot here? Do I get to play here? Do I have a chance to get into the National Football League as a quarterback at this school? Like, that's what it really all boils down to if you want to get down to the nitty gritty. Because if you could get into the league and play quarterback, I mean, you're seeing these guys, you're seeing Tommy Cutlets for the New York Giants. He's playing quarterback and his life is forever changed because he's won 3 games in a row for the Giants. And, you're seeing these random quarterbacks play. Dorian Thompson-Robinson playing for the Browns and these guys. It's like, if you can get in there, show you can play a little bit, you get a chance to stick in the league for 15, 20 years like Chad Henne did, like Chase Daniels did. And if you could hit it big and get with the right circumstance, you could make a fortune. And like Chase Daniels made $50 million and he started like 3 games in 14 years or whatever it was. So, I think that it's a different beast because you can't just be a backup. You can't just hold a clipboard and wear like a little, ski hat or toboggan or a beanie or whatever. You got to go out and play. And prove like if they ever call your number, you got to go out there and go. But I think it's just if you hit it big and if you hit it on the seismic scale like a Joe Burrow did, Joe Burrow, mind you, like going into his senior year, his own dad, who's a great coach and was a college coach at OU, was hoping that Joey would go 7th round or he would be a priority free agent and go to a place that could develop him, maybe make the practice squad, maybe help out, hold the clipboard, whatever. And then he took the limitless pill and he turned into the best player in college football history for 1 year. So again, like you gotta go play somewhere. And again, I think that's why Derek McCord is managing his son the way he is. Like they're not going to Nebraska now because Dylan Rail is going to show up there. So he's looking at Syracuse. So it's fascinating to watch. It's fascinating to be a part of. I'm glad I don't have to manage it because my kid will never be a quarterback. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, no, I think the quarterback stuff is something, I just think as a fan, you just got to get used to this new reality that what we're seeing here in 2023. We're going to see. I mean, let's think about the stuff that we're seeing right now. We've seen a quarterback transfer out of Ohio State after going 11-1. We're seeing another quarterback that's going to be starting for Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl against a top 10 opponent in his first start ever. Yep. We've got kids, top kids all over the country, transferring, announcing that they're going to transfer, asking for millions of dollars to transfer, saying they're going to go to one school like McCord is with Nebraska. That's all set. Then Raiola shows up. Now it looks like he's not going to go. Now he's going to Syracuse. I mean, I just think as a fan, you've just got to kind of recalibrate your expectations about what's going on, about what's happening, and about how you're viewing depth in the future and things like that. Because depth is an illusion. The future is really just kind of maybe 1 year ahead of time. Don't look too far down the road in terms of your team. And for Ohio State, just have a lot of empathy for Ryan Day having to manage all this madness. Because I've said this many times, I'm not a Ryan Day apologist. I'm not here to prop up Ryan Day or to tell you how great Ryan Day is. But I wouldn't want that job. I mean, I'd like the $10 million a year, but I don't want all the headaches that come along with being the head coach in 2023 and having to make decisions like this because it's tough. And I think what you're seeing with Ryan is you're seeing Ryan and those guys starting to lean more towards sticking with the guys that they have. I mean, you've seen it here kind of in this quarterback derby and kind of the guys that they've kicked tires on in the portal. You're seeing it in the offensive line. And Carter Smith to put himself in the portal from Indiana with the express purpose of going to Ohio State. And he's all jazzed. I'm going to go to Ohio State. And Ohio State said, thanks, but no thanks. We'll stick with our guys. So what happens? Carter Smith announced today, hey, Indiana, I'm back. Big Instagram announcement. I'm back in Indiana. And so, everybody's like, woo, way to go, Carter. You're back, So I think Ohio State's leaning, they know they've got a lot of talent in this roster. And just because somebody's coming from the outside doesn't mean they're a better player. And I think Ohio State's being very mindful of that and being very cautious about that. I described it today as they're using a rifle approach, not a shotgun approach to the portal, and I think that's the right move.
Well, I think the Carter Smith thing is interesting because if guys like Tigra Tishkabola and George Fitzpatrick all had gone to Indiana or gone to Ball State or gone to Purdue and started as a freshman or redshirt freshman, whatever, like Carter did this year, does that really change your evaluation that much versus the guys that you took over him, like George Fitzpatrick, like Tigra? We took 3 or 4 guys that were, in that class O-line guys, and they, all they've done is stand and watch because you've had older guys that were better. Jimmy Simmons, Josh Fryer was all Big Ten. So what does that mean if you go to a lesser school and play? And honestly, it's a lot of credit to Justin Fry because Justin Fry, I think the easy move would be go get the guy that started 12 games at Indiana and gave up 2 sacks or whatever it was, but he didn't. He's going to let the guys that he picked, on his own merit, roll and see how they do, this winter, this spring. Again, I can't express how important these practices are. Like, I mean, if I'm these kids and I'm their parents and whatever, I'm like, look, this is like it's like the Super Bowl tomorrow. It's like national championship. If you're one of these depth guys trying to get a spot, it's impossibly important to do well over the next 3 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because Ryan's gonna put the screws to you, see what he's got on the depth. Because a lot of these guys, they're looking to transfer or they're debating on getting in the portal, and it's just like it's like one of those things where you really have to figure out, is this kid good enough to play here? Are we stringing him on? Should he go, from the kid standpoint, should he go take the bag somewhere? Go take the bag from SMU or Nebraska or whoever that's got money and they're trying to build depth. There's a lot of moving gyrations, and it's just unbelievable. Again, like I mean, if I'm Ryan Day and some of these guys walked into my office, again, this is why, when people are like, oh, Mike Vrabel would be a great coach at Ohio State. Mike Vrabel would love to do this. I'm like, dude, like, if I'm a depth guy, a guy that hasn't played, a guy who's been holding a clipboard or waving a towel during the game, and I walk into Ryan Day's office and say, hey, I need 300 grand to stay, and I've played like 7 snaps all season. Like, I just don't know I don't know what Mike Vrabel would say to that, because that's just kind of, like Mike Vrabel would go nuts. I know his tenor and what he's like, but that's the new modern era. Is like these kids like that are depth guys that aren't really valued at Ohio State are really valued at other schools. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, no, I think it's like I said, it's a tough situation. It's kind of an unprecedented situation, and just because somebody played somewhere else doesn't make them better. Now, this kind of segues into a question. I want to ask you a question. You're the old offensive lineman. Old emphasis on the word old. You played back in the old leather helmet era back in '06, and I I want to ask you about Carson Hinzman. Carson Hinzman is a guy that's kind of taken a lot of abuse from a lot of people on the fans. And how impressive was it to you that Carson Hinzman was able to start 12 games as a redshirt freshman at center for a 11-1 squad?
I mean, it's exceptionally impressive when you're a 19-year-old. You can start in college football. You're playing in the middle of everything, and then you're playing at a place at Ohio State. So Ohio State, think about our fan base is that we eat our young, and we are brutal to Kyle McCord and Ryan Day and everybody. And again, I'm fine with that. Again, I want you guys to keep it turned up, and if our supporters are passionate and angry, that's great. Because when we win it, it's like I told you, because look, when you win it all, then they're going to be the same guys standing in line for your autographs. You're going to make all this money, and they're going to be at the parades and everything. So it's like, don't ever turn that down, like the intensity and the hatred and all that. If guys don't perform, I like it. Again, I'm not scared of it. But, for a kid like Carson to be a 19-year-old starting at center, I heard some great stories about Carson this fall. Mike Hall was kind of picking on him because Mike Hall's the older guy. Mike Hall's a first-round pick. And, he said, hey, I'm going to whip Carson in this drill. And then Carson got up against him, and he beat him. And then he jacked him up. Like Mike tried to swing on him and fight. And Carson, like, lifted him off the ground and was, like, growling. Yeah, I mean, Carson, like, did not step down from Mike Hall at all. And, again, I was like, that was really impressive. Because, again, Mike Hall's a bad dude, good player. But he's light. Like, if I'd have gone against Mike Hall, I'd have sent him into orbit because he's such a light dude in a double team. I would have murdered him. But he's coming after Carson. Carson's a little young. He's and again, you remember, Carson didn't play center in high school. I mean, he was a tackle and a guard in high school. And so, like, learning the nuances of center when you played an outside guy is kind of tough. But he fed up Michael Hall pretty hard and jacked him off his feet. And he wasn't scared to fight Mike Hall. So, again, that's, again, like, are there bumps in the road when you're a 19-year-old? Yeah. Because you got to remember, these kids, they're not God. They're not robots. They're not, they're not Terminators. Like, these guys, like, they're humans. And, again, he'll get a lot stronger, a lot better. And again, like, when I was a redshirt freshman, like, I was good. Like, I didn't give him a sack my redshirt freshman year. I had a really good year. But my '05 year, which was my redshirt sophomore year, my third year in the program where I was a sophomore eligibility, I was a million times better. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, look, like, Carson next year will be a million times better because he'll be more confident. He'll be way stronger because, again, when you're 19 to 20, you physically are maturing. You're getting stronger in the weight room. You're gonna add more weight. I think he's gonna be much better. And again, like, you got to remember, like Nick Mangold started a few games as a sophomore after they benched Bryce Bishop, but like '04 was like when he really was a full time starter. And he was a third year guy. Like in '03, I remember after we lost to Wisconsin, like they moved him to starter. They benched Bryce Bishop and they put Stepanovic at right guard. But that was like 8, 9 games in. And he had, Stepanovic next to him, and he had Adrian Clark. And again, you can make fun of Adrian Clark for being a big fat dude, but he was a 6th-round draft pick, and Steph was like a 3rd-round pick. So Nick was kind of inundated by, I think, an easier offense to block in with Tressel and running the ball a lot. And he had 2 NFL guards next to him. So, I think that for, Carson, I think he's got a huge upside. I think that, sometimes these kids, when they're young, if they don't have success, they're kind of their own worst enemy. But I think Carson's got a lot of pride. He's a tough kid. Things I've heard about him is that, he's not scared of anything. And he's got to get stronger. Like, he's got to live in that squat rack. Like, think about like guys that were great centers that I played with, like Nick Mangold, Charles Bentley. They could squat, 650, 700 pounds, so they could anchor versus a bull rush. Stepanovic could squat a house. So I think that's kind of a trait. He's got to keep working that lower body strength and his anchor, because that's the thing that, it'll help him not only in pass protection, but also moving guys on double teams. Because, when I coached Corey Lindsley and he was our center in 2012 with Urban, I told those guys every day we'd go to individual on Tuesday, Wednesday. I said, we're going to be the best combination blocking team in the country. I said that every day. And I'd run the combos with either the centers and guards or the guards and tackles. Like, me and Ed Warner would switch off. We'd switch groups every other week. But if I had the centers and guards, I said we're going to be the best, A blockers, which A is like a front side zone combo block. I mean, I would say we're going to be the best in the country at it. And we're going to come off the rock, and, nobody's going to touch us. Like, we're going to work this until you guys die. And you guys get good fits and good form, and you guys move guys off the ball. And we got really good at it. That's why Norwell got paid. That's why Lindsley got paid. That's why Mewhort got paid, because we moved guys. And again, that's got to be the mentality for Carson. Carson's got to become the leader of the offense next year. He's got to be the apex, and he's got to say, guys, we're going to be the best, because our combination blocks absolutely suck right now. And I think that that's something, like, if I'm Ryan Day and I watch that film, we got to get better at that, because they suck. I watched it against Michigan. It was an abortion. And I think that that's something that, if I'm those guys, I'm like saying, guys, we got to get better at these combo blocks. This is a disgrace. Your thoughts about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I thought with Carson, I mean, I was having a hard time coming up with a long list of guys that have started at center as redshirt freshmen at Ohio State. I mean, it's not a lot of guys. It's a demanding position, and I thought he acquitted himself quite nicely, and that's why I've been a little confused by the amount of heat that Carson's got. I mean, I've heard people talk about, should he portal out? Should he be replaced? Are they going to get cut? Are they going to do that? And I'm like, man, I thought the kid was pretty good. So I genuinely wanted to hear your thoughts, because we haven't had a chance to talk about that. And, when I got O-line questions, when I go to the O-line guy and ask him.
Well, I mean, people don't care. Like, the problem is, like, people don't understand, like, guys are young. Some guys are learning on the job. They just want, whatever the standard is, if it's Billy Price winning the Remington, Elfline winning the Remington, Corey Lindsley being the highest paid center of all time, like, that's what the standard is, and that's kind of something that I think damned Kyle McCord, is the fact that the standard is CJ Stroud, Haskins, Fields, like, 1st-round picks. Like, it's not, the standard isn't Craig Krenzel, going 4 for 14 and beating the Hurricane, or whatever whatever he wants to do in the national. Like, I mean, it's not Scott McMullen, Krenzel, Todd Beckman. And there's nothing against those guys. Again, Craig won a national championship. God bless him. But, like, the standard is, Craig was like a 6th-round pick. I mean, the standard is like a top 10 pick now. So it's impossibly high. And again, if you've got thin skin, like Kyle McCord has thin skin, this ain't got to be the place for you. And his dad's got thin skin. This ain't the place for you. You better go to Syracuse or Rutgers or somebody where the people aren't as mean, and, the fans aren't as mean, and the expectations aren't as high. Because here, if you're not CJ Stroud and you're not like the NFL MVP as a rookie, it's going to be tough for you. It's going to be really tough for you to survive. So I got a couple super chats. Larry Daniels, one is Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the 5. Great job, guys. Cheers to the cause. Again, thank you so much for your support. Sergio Sema, you're in here a lot. You're my dude. Appreciate you every night. Thanks for the 5. Each week there's talk of a new QB. Knowing what we know now, without seeing the bowl game, would you take Brown or Murphy? That is a great question, because Brown is going to be going into year 3. Murphy's going into year 2. I mean, Murphy started more games than Brown did this year, but Devin's got the big start coming up against Missouri. I don't know. I mean that's a tough one. I think that I don't. Here's the thing. I don't know the makeup of Malik Murphy other than what I've heard. Obviously, I've got a great source at Texas, but I've heard that he's a great kid, and he just is between two monsters with Ewers and then Arch Manning. So he was kind of the odd man out, and I was told that Sark is going to try to find him a nice, easy place to rest his head. So I'm sure Sark is his biggest advocate 'cause he's not trying to screw the kid. But, when you've got Arch Manning behind you and you've got Quinn Ewers, the biggest thing is like Quinn staying for that fourth year kind of forced his hand because I think Arch would sit for 2 years to learn behind Quinn. He's not going to sit for 3 years to wait for Malik Murphy. So basically, Sark had to choose between Arch and Malik Murphy, and he picked Arch. He picked the guy that's younger, the guy that's more talented. But Malik Murphy, I think, is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the country. But right now, I'm going Devin Brown. Devin Brown's here. Again, and I can change my mind in 3 weeks after the bowl game on the 29th. But that's going to be my pick for now. But what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm always going to lean towards the guy that picked Ohio State, that's been part of the system, that knows the system, that's kind of going through it all. And let's just deal with a couple of things. We've been dealing with this on the board today. At least I should say I've been dealing with this on the board today, talking about Devin Brown and his athleticism, or in the belief of some people, his lack of athleticism. My question for you guys that are on the Devin Brown lacks athleticism thing is, why do you think the Ohio State players are all coming out and raving about his athleticism and ability to extend plays, run the ball, do things with his feet? Do you think that they're just making stuff up, or they're lying, or they have a script, or whatever it is? Like, it's either that or he's pretty darn athletic, And I tend to think it's because he is athletic in the mold of a Cam Rising, of a Riley Leonard, a JT Barrett, guys that aren't just like big burners, but that can put their shoulder down, get you yards when you need to get it. And that's the first thing. Second thing, we had a discussion today, and I want to see on the chat if you guys believe this. We had some people on the board say today that they believe that J.J. McCarthy will run a 4.4 at the combine. And I want you to put down whether you believe that J.J. McCarthy will run a 4.4. As a point of reference, that would be the second fastest time for a quarterback in the history of the NFL. But so just to see if do you agree J.J. McCarthy will run a 4.4? I'm in the no way in heck, and I'm going to put money up that he will not run a 4.4 at the combine. But I'm interested to see if you guys believe that J.J. White Lightning McCarthy will run a 4.4 at the NFL combine.
Who was first? Vic?
Vic, 4.33. Yeah, 4.33.
Yeah, I mean, again, the fastest human being like ever. I mean, the most electric quarterback of all time. Now, is it a 4.40 or a 4.49 for you for your bet?
4.4 flat.
So 4.40. Like
yes.
there's no chance in the universe he'd run a 4.40. That's like what Dante Whitner ran when he went 8th overall as a strong safety. I mean, nobody takes a safety at 8 overall.
I think Henry Ruggs ran a 4.4. I mean, and Ruggs is pretty fast.
He was the fastest receiver in the draft that year, and I think he might have broke 4.4. I think it was 4.3 something, but like he was the fastest receiver in his class. That class had like Jerry Jeudy. I think that was, what's funny? Because I remember Mark Mayock, who's maybe the worst GM in NFL history outside of the Max Crosby pick, took Henry Ruggs over CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. I mean, it was like a laundry list of Hall of Fame type receivers, and he took Ruggs. And obviously, Henry Ruggs had his incident, and I mean, all of his character stuff pre that was great, but obviously he made the biggest mistake of his life and killed somebody driving drunk, which is stupid. But again, he passed over. That being said, even rookie year, you could see CeeDee Lamb, how good CeeDee Lamb was. CeeDee Lamb was like the consensus number one guy. I mean, Mark Mayock took Cleveland Farrell over Josh Allen, and I'm not talking the quarterback. I'm talking about the DN from Jacksonville, who's awesome. I mean, he was the worst GM I've ever seen because he was smarter than everybody else. And it's like if you just sort of sat there with like the Streets and Smith like NFL draft guide or the ESPN mock draft, you could have drafted better than Mark Mayock, which is, he hit on Crosby. Max Crosby is a stud. He's a 3rd round pick, so I guess you could slide him into 4 where Cleveland Farrell went. But if you had Max Crosby and Josh Allen, you probably have the most dynamic pass rush duo in the NFL right now, outside of Chase and Nick Bosa. Mello, I'm going to look into this for you. I have not heard of this kid. Appreciate you for the 5. Thanks, brother. Hey, Kirk, do you check your sources on Dabron Gatling out of Milton High School in Georgia? Just decommitted from A&M. He was ripped out. No, so you're going to playoffs. I have not heard anything about that, so I apologize. I can check. I'll send a couple texts out for that, so I appreciate you. But I just, if there's one thing in the universe I don't care about right now, it's receiver recruiting because we've got JJ and like 3 other ballers coming in. So, but I will dig into that for you. I apologize, Miller, for not getting you that answer. Ryan Coolidge, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you, brother. It's all going to pay it forward. So thank you guys. This is going right to our service members. Again, you guys have been exceptionally generous. And again, this will make a big difference for them. Again, they're not away, they're not with their families during Christmas. So we try to make it up to them, give them BuckeyeScoop.com memberships. They can kick it with us. Again, we're always on BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys aren't members of our website, it is the greatest companion on earth for college football and for football in general, because it's always cracking. It's like a really good like casino in Vegas. It never sleeps. I mean, our message board, there's people at 4 in the morning that are debating stuff, and it's really high level stuff. And we have got some exceptional people on there, people that you wouldn't believe subscribe to our site. But Mark Paytoni subscribes to our site, so you guys should too. Devin Brown seems like a winner. It's refreshing to see a kid who's actually interested in competing. I was all in for transfer QB when Kyle McCord bounced, but not anymore. Brown wants it, and that means a lot to us. JJ will not run a 4.4. Nevada, do you disagree with any of that? Ryan, that is, I think, a very, very good take. But your thoughts?
No, it's like Ryan's in my head. That's a great take. No,
Yeah.
Look, I think we're all excited to see Devin on the 29th. I mean, on the let's caution side, it's a bowl game against a top 10 opponent for his first start. That's all the caution lights. On the good side, he's got almost a full month to prepare for it, and he knows what's at stake. So I mean, look, this is why you come to Ohio State, is to playing games like this. I think it adds such an exciting kind of subplot to the game from a viewer's perspective. I know that I'm going to be absolutely riveted. I know I'm going to be watching carefully to see what he can do, see how Ryan uses him. I mean, will they fully unleash the attack of a true dual threat quarterback, or will Ryan continue to handcuff these guys? Will they use tempo like that? You check the advanced stats when Ohio State's gone tempo, their offense has been like 27% more effective, but then Ryan will stop it and it'll go back to that look back thing, and I just don't understand it, because like they've run tempo to such great effect this year, and they run it in practice all the time. They run it in practice during this bowl prep. But then they get in the game, they'll run 2, 3, 4 plays, they'll go right down the field, bang, 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 and all of a sudden they'll stop, do the look back thing, and I'll be like, what are we doing? So no, I think this is going to be a good precursor to kind of what are we going to see for the 2024 offense, and I can't wait. The game cannot get here fast enough for me.
I agree. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. I'm really excited to see what Devin can do. Lisa S, 2001 Scoop Ultra member, appreciate you. Hi, Kirk. Can you compare Devin Brown's ability to JJ's? I think they're similar. I think Devin might be a small tick slower, but I think they're the same kind of guys, same kind of, they're different cats. They're not the traditional guy. They're a little weird from what I've been told, but that's not all bad. I mean, if you're a guy that can ball and throw the ball and go get first downs and you're jacked up to go, then I'm good with it. I mean, quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers is probably the best quarterback who's ever lived outside of Brady, and he goes to like a darkness retreat and does mushrooms, and I mean that guy can throw the absolute crap out of the ball, and he's a leader, and he's as good of a quarterback as ever lived. He just didn't have Bill Belichick's defense with him, but like quarterbacks don't always have to be the most straight and narrow dudes. They can be a little awkward sometimes, a little weird, because they have so much stress and so much pressure on them. But I think Devin, again, this will sound exceptionally stupid, but I talked to somebody in the Woody Hayes 2 years ago. I'll never forget this. And that was their comparison for Brown. It was Rodgers. He's that kind of guy. He's a thrower, kind of a loose cannon, a little bit of a free spirit. But and again, I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, for me, if you put a gun to my head and say you got to go in one game, like I'm probably taking him over Brady. As much as Brady's won 7 Super Bowls and everything, I just think Rodgers, he did more with less than. I mean, nobody was handcuffed to the bottom, the cellar door more than Rodgers. I mean, he never had Gronk or Randy Moss or whatever. He had Devontae, and they got rid of Devontae, and he's thrown to like Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, and a bunch of guys that should be working at the sit-go, and he still was able to win and make their team competitive. So, but that's what I was told he was like. And again, that was from someone in the Woody Hayes. And, again, you can crucify me for that and say, oh, Kirk says he's like Aaron Rodgers, but that was the comp. And again, I love Aaron Rodgers. I love watching him play. I think that we got robbed of a year. I was dying to see him with Garrett Wilson this year, but that was what I was told about him. But I think that he's very similar to JJ, but I think he's a better thrower. But I'd love your thoughts on that, Nevada.
Yeah, not as fast. Definitely more kind of a burly kind of runner than JJ. He's kind of slippery, a little bit more elusive. But I think Devin's a little bit more JT Barrett as a runner. As a passer, I mean, Devin likes to throw it down the field. He's got a big arm, got a cannon for an arm, likes to put the ball down the field. In fall camp, I think what kind of was his undoing was a little loose with the ball coming down the stretch, try to make too many throws. Have they kind of coached that out of him? I guess we're going to find out on the 29th, but he's not afraid to throw it. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, I think he's got a very bright future. I'm excited to watch him. I think that, again, a lot will be dictated over the next few weeks because we've got, this is the first time he gets to act like he's the starter. Like he's the guy. Like he's the guy everyone's looking to. He's in the first huddle with, Josh Fryer and Jimmy Simmons and Donnie Jackson. And, he's not there for two plays. He's there for like the whole, cadre of plays starting at practice tomorrow. Again, there's 3 practices, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to dig and get some reports from what's going on in there. But he's been shredding guys the last 3 days. I mean, I got a report that said if he'd have been this good, in the middle to the end of camp, like he would have been the starter for sure. So, again, I'm excited about it just because I think he's got a lot of upside. I've seen guys and what they can do with their opportunities, and he has nothing to lose. He can go let it rip, and these guys are playing for big bucks. Taterbuck, thanks for the 10. Who is getting reps at running back in bull practice? If it's not Trey, I don't see him coming back. Trey hasn't done a ton, but you've got Dallin, you've got some guys that are trying to work in there. X is still there. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Trey. Again, I think tomorrow and the next couple of days will be telling. I think some of these guys are really digging into their decisions. Some of these guys that, the guys that didn't announce they were coming back, for certain, or to play in the game were JT, Trey, and Marvin. But everybody else said they're coming back. So I think tomorrow will be interesting to see what the reps look like. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, right now it's like you said. Look, everybody's been working out to one degree or another. Now that doesn't mean a lot. I use the example of Olave. Olave worked out right up to the eve of the Rose Bowl, and then opted out in terms of not playing. So you can't really read too much into that. But it's been all systems go with players so far. Once you get past Trey, you've got Dallin and you've got X, which is what they would go within the bowl game if Trey decided to leave or just if he decided to opt out. So they've got some options there, but for now, look, I'm keeping cautiously optimistic that things work out. I mean, the way that it's already kind of broken, that more guys are coming back, more guys are playing the bowl game that I think most people expected. So I think that's going to continue. I think that's going to be kind of the theme for Bowl 2023 and for season 2024 is more guys play and more guys stay than you would have expected.
Yeah, I think that, there's going to be, there's going to be some excitement to get back in there and play. And again, you want to go out with a win, if you're a college football player, and guys can take out insurance, and I think it's worthless. But some of these guys really need to go play. They need to go dominate. And that's what I've said to some of the guys that have asked me. I'm like, look, you asked my advice. Some of these guys say you should come back for another year and come dominate or dominate in the bowl game and go set the tone and the standard. Because, it doesn't hurt you. Like Cam Hayward, who was a first-round pick, played the Arkansas game as a senior, a captain, one of the greatest Buckeyes of all time, and he dominated against Arkansas. And he ends up being a first-round pick, goes to the Steelers. He's had, he's made, $120 million in his career. It was fantastic. So, I just think that, if in doubt, go play. Don't be scared. If you're scared by a dog, again, I played, I got hurt in games and stuff, but it's I never regretted playing because I think in the deep down in your druthers, you regret not playing a lot more than playing, because there's nothing that's better than selling out for your boys and your brothers and your seniors and then getting that dub. And especially in a bowl game where it's, I mean, you're in that locker room for that bowl game. That is the last time ever that team will play a game, ever. The rest of your life. You'll never see those guys all again. They'll never be on the same team again. That's just how football is. Like, when it's done, it's done. There's not, there's no, hey, we're going to go run it back next week or next month or for the spring game or for the reunion. Like, in football, like, when you're in that bowl game locker room, that team's never going to play again together. The whole team is going to be, dispersed, and the seniors will be gone, juniors will be gone, whatever. But that's kind of the finality of the whole thing. So we got Ryan Coolidge, again, bringing the heat tonight. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 10. You're in here every night. Appreciate you, brother. Determined to pay it forward at least one Buckeye Scoop membership. Thank you so much. Again, we love to give to the military. We love to give to police officers, people that serve and protect us and help us in the community. Very pro police, very pro military on Buckeye Scoop. So we appreciate you guys. Excited to watch the Cheaters up North Bama game with you guys and talk mad. It's SH, but I can't say that, Max. We'll get dinged on YouTube, but we appreciate. I actually love the profanity. You guys should do watch parties more often. I'd be here, dude. I'm telling you, this watch party is about to be lit. If you guys do not have plans for the Alabama-Michigan game, plan on being on YouTube with us, because we're going to be having a blast for our watch party. I think it's going to be really fun. Rooting like crazy for Bama to whoop on Michigan. There's none of that SEC fake trash here. Where like, Vanderbilt roots for the SEC and they chant SEC. I want Alabama to beat Michigan by 1,000 points. And I hope that they embarrass them and slaughter them just like the last years when they got slaughtered by TCU and Georgia the last years when they thought they were, these kings of kings. And then they played some big dogs and they get ran over. I think that's what Bama's going to do. Nevada, talk a little bit about the watch party and what people can expect.
Well, look, I don't really want to be kind of accused of hyperbole, but I think the watch party will be the greatest event in the history of mankind. And so for people that are out, you just got to put it down in your calendar and watch along. It'll be it's a reaction show where you can't show the game on YouTube, because then we like there's rules about you can't show the game on thing. So what you're going to get is you're going to get our reactions of us watching the game. It's like us sitting in the living room with you. So you're going to have Kirk Barton probably in some stage of sobriety at some point.
Yes.
At some point, and you're gonna have Nevada Buck sitting with you. It's like Nevada Buck will be in his moo-moo, sitting there in your living room, watching the game with you, chatting about things. And I really do believe that the people 100 years from now will be talking about this event, and you'll be able to say, "I was there. I was part of this initial watch party for the Alabama-Michigan game, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened in my life, including kids or marriages or other great things that happened to you." So, I don't want to hype it too. I don't want to hype it too much, but that's kind of the way that I see it.
I might not be sober, and Nevada will be just like Norman Bates' mom at the end of the movie when they swing the chair around. It's like a skeleton. It's like a skeleton in a wig, and the chick walks in. She's like, "Ah!" That's what Nevada's gonna look like. It'll be great. Appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you, brother. Jamie Coburn, thanks for the 5. I want to give you guys a big shout out. I really enjoy your work. How much you support the military? I'm in the Navy. I love it. I miss it when I go to Japan. OHIO. Father-in-law's a Navy guy. Again, I love the Navy. Army-Navy game. I love you Army guys, but I'm all Navy all the way. My father-in-law, like I said, I love that he's in the Navy. He was really high up in the Navy. Easy Christmas gift every year. Under Armour Navy gear, and he rocks it like crazy down in Fort Myers when he's working out at the gym. So I appreciate you, my man. OSU Bucks 08. Thanks for the 5. Buckeyes beat 40s. Berm is a 4-2. Goodman is an 8-4. Ward is a 9-7. Landis is a 10-8. Berm is a 4-2? I don't know where that came from. Nevada, I don't know if Berm's running a 4-2. But if people think he's running a 4-2, it's probably the same people that think JJ McCarthy's going to run a 4-4. But your thoughts on that? I mean, I ran a 4.9 in my prime when I was 315. I mean, the fastest I ever ran was a 4.75 when I was in high school. But when I was like a heavy dude, like 315, I ran a 4.9, trained for 4.93 at Pro Day. So I don't know if Berm's going to hit a 4.2. I don't really know how to comment on this. Nevada, any comments? Do you want to pass on to the next one?
No, no, no. I would definitely want to comment on this. I think that if we should live stream like some sort of like a match race with the OSU beat where we have like a bucket of chicken at the end of the 40th line and we see them kind of run to the bucket of chicken and feed or something like that, because I think that you might get some good times. You might have somebody break the 8-second barrier during that time or something like that. And afterwards we could resuscitate with the first one to go down. We could have like a defibrillator and have that thing and kind of like revive them. And I think now that is some quality viewing that we could do on the Buckeye Scoop YouTube channel. We're looking for things that'll break us out of narrowcast and into broadcast. And I think that's it. Battle the fat guys. And I think that's what we got to do.
So you don't think that the Scoop Eats at the media suite at the Rose Bowl like 2 years ago did that when they opened up the thing? There's like an empty thing of refried beans and an empty thing of pico de gallo, and they're just like, this is the meat. I mean, it got like 35 views. Like that didn't break us out.
Well, this is kind of a combo though, because you've got the kind of an athletic event and Scoop Eats at kind of the same time. So I think it's kind of a hybrid, and I think that really could find an audience right there. So I mean, look, you just got to expand your mind as to what great television is. That is great television.
Oh my God. I love it. That's so great. Don Schaefer, thanks for the 20. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, brother. For the fun, I just want to thank you guys for bringing it every day. We love bringing it. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a highlight of our day. Me and Nevada sit around all day like we're giddy, ready to rock and bring this stuff. You guys have been on fire this year. Appreciate you, my man. Keep up the great work. Also appreciate you. What a great time to be a Buckeye and a college football fan. Can't wait for the Hammer up north, the Hun. I like the Huns, like Attila the Hun. But we appreciate that. Again, we love bringing the heat. Again, there's always the funniest thing about this thing when we do this is we're always like, what are we going to talk about? And then 20 minutes before we get on the air, Malik Murphy hits the portal and we're like, well, there we go. I mean, that's the guy that we've been waiting. This is the name we've been waiting on more than any of the other guys. Like, this is a guy who's a stud. He's a monster, 6'5". I mean, again, Ryan, taking a QB in the portal, especially one that's younger than Devin Brown, it's kind of like diffusing a bomb, because I feel like if you take this kid, you're going to clear that room out real quick. You're going to get Lincoln in the portal. You're going to get Devin in the portal. But is it worth it? Is it not worth it? That's kind of the exciting thing is, what does Ryan Day think? Because his life's on the line, not ours. Deborah Sobel, thank you so much. You're in here every night. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. All about Devin, the guy who stayed and isn't afraid to play. I love that. And are you going to show film on him and analyze his play? Yeah, we're going to rip some of that tomorrow just because we did the Malik Murphy and we've got the Corey Pierich thing, the safety that's about to commit. We got his film ready to go. But we'll do Devin's film tomorrow. Again, we have his high school film. Again, you know what? Here's what I'll do, Deborah. I'm going to throw his high school film up real quick because this kind of sees more of a skill set than just like the little basic stuff that he did, in garbage time at Ohio State. And so, again, like I like watching for some of these guys that are, AYOs that don't play during the season. Like sometimes it's good to see what these guys did in high school because he was in high school like 2 years ago. So this isn't like standard definition. This isn't like old film, but you can see kind of the throws here. So you can see it like here's running a Q draw, goes for a score again. This is he's playing at the University of Utah, so he's playing, like decent comp to below average comp, but you can still see the arm talent. You can still see the burst. You can still see kind of the plays that you could run with Devin. And again, like when he's playing at like these schools, like he doesn't have a great O-line, so you see him kind of move around and rip some throws, and it's kind of what you get excited about. Like I said, this is a kid that here the everything breaks down. He steps out of it, rips a throw. So, we'll throw a little Devin up here. Appreciate you, Deb. Thank you so much for being here. You're in here a lot, so appreciate you being a part of the scoop. All right. Will 8282. Thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Are there any decommitment threats and who's likely coming back? Jordan Lyle's the only guy I'm really worried about, like super worried about. I'm not worried about JJ Smith at all. I talked to a good source in South Florida today. All good. Likely coming back. I think that the 4 guys that I think we have the best shot of losing are Marvin. I think Marvin's gone. There's no chance he's coming back. Trey's kind of on the fence still. I think Trey has a better chance of coming back than not coming back. Denzel Burke, I feel like is kind of in the same boat as Trey because he was injured a little bit this year. I think he's got another level he can get to if he comes back for one more year. And JT Tuimoloau is a guy that I think if you put a gun to my head, he would take off today. But we've got, Ty Leak is a guy that's on the fence, truly. Jack Sawyer's on the fence. Mike Hall's got a young kid, so kind of muddles it up a little bit. But again, as much as everybody likes to hate on NIL, and I keep telling people this, I'm like, look, NIL is something that can keep these guys in school. It's not just, a recruiting inducement tool where you're going after these 5-star kids and you're going after kids in the portal. Like, it can keep a kid like, Mike Hall, who has a young kid and has to buy Pampers and wipes, and all your parents know how much that stuff costs, formula, whatever. He could get an NIL deal and make a little scratch. He's not living off a scholarship check and trying to scrape, pennies out of his couch cushions like we had to do back in the day. Nevada, do you think there's any threats of decommitments, and who do you believe is likely coming back?
Yeah, no, I think you got the decommitment, the potential. I think that's really the only guy that's of any concern right now. And boy, the returning, not returning stuff, of all the things that I do and all the things that I've done over the past 25 years, following Ohio State football, it's the toughest one, man. It is the toughest one. And now with NIL, it's even tougher. So I think I'm going to go with the only kid that I know for sure that's going is Marvin. And I think everybody else is just kind of a jump ball because I just don't know. And I think they're all unique circumstances. But as you rightly pointed out, and it's a great point, that the underrated point is NIL this is the one time when NIL works in Ohio State's favor in terms of potentially keeping kids back in school. It's not like the old days. I mean, because even we're talking about, a small NIL deal, $100,000, $50,000, $30,000. I mean, think about for you, Kirk, how much of a difference would that have made in your life back when you were in college? $30,000 or something.
30 grand?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have made a difference at Spearmint Rhino. I know that going into my senior year. I mean, that would have been like someone would have got their car paid off, or they got their mortgage done, or at least they made their apartment rent. So, I mean, it would have been obviously great just because you'd have less than $2,000 in your bank account like you do when you're a college kid. Because when you're a college kid, it's just like, you're poor. I mean, all college kids generally are poor unless their dads are just filthy rich and give their daughters like Amex Platinums to run around with, but. Most of us are poor. I mean, we're both kind of like scraping together and seeing what we can do. But I just think that, I liked it. Like, honestly, that's the thing about college. Like, you learn how to be resourceful and drink draft beer and, drink beer out of a can and eat McDoubles and McChickens for 99 cents. Like, I mean, I survived. I was fine. I don't need to have like a Louis Vuitton purse, and I don't need to have a Benz. Like, I could drive. My senior year when I was a first-team All-American, I was driving a Honda Accord that was 10 years old. And, like, I rocked it. I was fine. I pulled plenty of hot chicks. Like, it was great. It was whatever. But that was just kind of the thing. Like, I think a lot of these kids, they feel like they need all this stuff. And I'm like, you really don't. Now, the thing that's changed since I graduated in 07 is the money has just gone astronomically insane. Like, especially at Ohio State. Like, I look at, like Parker Fleming, 500,000 plus an 85. He's made 585 grand this year to be the worst coach in Ohio State history. And like, to me, like when I was a senior, like Jim Bowman, the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, made 350. So, again, I think part of that was trust was kind of like, he was from the, like the old school, like Bo Schembechler, way of life where we don't take raise, or Woody Hayes didn't take a raise for 30 years or whatever. Like, so our coaches really didn't get paid much. Then Urban showed up and everybody's salary doubled, and in 12, like Tom Herman made I think 550 as an offensive coordinator, so it was a $200,000 raise on Bowman in 2011, and now like the OC makes like $2 million, so that it's got up like 4 times in 10 years, which is, again, it's fine. It's just keeping up with the Joneses, but I think that the players need to get some scratch too, because they're the reason that people show up is to watch the players. You don't show up to watch, an offensive coordinator coach or Parker Fleming screw up our substitutions on our punt team. Like, you want to see Marvin Harrison and Emeka and Trey and whoever. So I think the way the money has exploded, that you got to pay these players some money, and they don't have to live in like extreme poverty for, their entire 3 to 5 years that they're at Ohio State. Taterbox 6 of the 5.
No.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I got to make one more comment for that.
Oh my God.
If you go to if you go to McDonald's and you're thinking about getting like a double cheeseburger, don't get the double cheeseburger. The double cheeseburger is $3.99. Go to the mix and match menu. You can get 2 McDoubles for $3.19. 2 McDoubles for $3.19. Way better than a double
Do you have a
cheeseburger.
scale? Do you have a scale in your car that weighs the patties and stuff to make sure that you're getting the
No,
same
but
amount of
it's
beef?
you're getting 2 McDoubles. You're getting 2 of them McDoubles for $3.19 as opposed to 1 double cheeseburger. It's 1 extra slice of cheese, and for $3.99. Not a good deal. This is the kind of wisdom that you get on this show. We're trying to make you a smarter fan, a better fan, a more economic fan. Use the mix and match menu at McDonald's, man. I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
I just order it and pay for it. I don't care. I'm not trying to do all that math.
I'm telling you.
All that reading. Tater Buck, thanks for the 5. Ignore what Nevada said over the last minute. I apologize for that. Taking vacation to watch the watch party. I'm telling you, he said, I can't wait to see Kirk extra lit again. Laugh out loud. Well, the problem is, like, the night that I had a little too much, that Notre Dame watch party, so I had my family, my cousins down from Massillon. People from Massillon, kind of hillbillies, a little rich, steel mill workers. And, they got down here about 10, swam all day, we were, drinking. I hired a bartender, my girl Mariah, who, is a great bartender, really aggressive when it comes to the pours. And, I'm talking to Nevada the whole time during this game. Nevada and I, you guys don't realize, like, when we watch these games, we're like basket cases because we're like, if they lose, we have to deal with the angry mob as much as the team does. Because people are like, you guys said they were going to win. I was like, well, yeah, they should beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not that great. I mean, Notre Dame lost to Louisville, and Louisville stinks and whatever. But, like, Nevada said, every time Notre Dame has 10 guys on the field, you have to drink a glass of Everclear. So at the very end of the game, he made me drink 2 full glasses of Everclear because their stupid D-line coach, Al Washington, literally had 10 guys on the field. And thank God he did it on the last play because we ran right where the defensive end was supposed to be, and we scored by about an inch, but we scored. So, again, then he's like, well, we got to go podcast because, there's no way we'll ever make it if we don't podcast. And I got on there. I was kind of like Weekend at Bernie's. But, hey, it happens sometimes to the best of us. Again, because we were just trying to bring you guys the content you guys deserved. And that was the shortest podcast in Buckeye Scoop history. And it lives in infamy in the vault right now. So one day I might open that thing back up, but I apologize. I was a little lit, a little happy to party, but I was glad that we won. So I'll leave it at that. Appreciate you, Tater Buck. Never stop rolling. If this is an Alabama fan, I appreciate you. And I hope you tune into our watch party because we're going to open up to every Alabama fan and every Big Ten fan and SEC fan that hates Michigan. We're going to publicize it. It's going to be a blast. Never stop rolling. Thanks for the 5. I seen a Twitter post. Not sure if it's real or not. Josh Simmons back in the portal. Who would be up next? Zen? ? Thoughts? ? I have not seen that. That would be somewhat shocking, unless he's trying to grab more cash from Ohio State or elsewhere. Nevada, any thoughts on that? I have not seen anything on this.
I mean, it was funny. Somebody asked me about Josh Simmons earlier today, but I mean, it was just a random poster. So I have heard nothing about this. I typically would have heard about something like this because that would be kind of big. So I'm gonna go with I'm not believing that particular piece of news, but somebody did ask me a question about it. So we'll dig into it and roll damn Tide. Everybody get Kirk. Are you gonna wear the houndstooth hat for the viewing party to get out there and really put on the whole Bear Bryant thing?
I gotta order one. It's gonna be like a size 8 3/4 or whatever I wear. So it'll be sick. I'll probably put a little feather in it. It'll be looking dope. I'm gonna wear the houndstooth hat. I'll switch back to my thing. So I'm gonna wear the houndstooth hat. I've got a Bama pullover. For some of you guys that are I got the black Air Force Ones, so I'll be ready for war. This is like what Deebo Samuel wore when he whooped on Philly. So I'll have the full regalia ready to go. Again, I hate Michigan more than anything in the world. But it'll be a good time. Ryan Coolidge with the gold chat, the 50 spot. Appreciate you, brother. Again, bringing the heater tonight. All right, one more. Hey, Nevada, talk dirty to me. Well, let's head to Sapphire, brother, because we're almost there. Tell me how much trouble the cheaters up north is next year. When does betting open on how hot that dumpster fire will be when the NCAA lights it on fire? You guys are great. Thanks for the company and the good times. Ryan, you're exceptional. Thank you for the 50s going directly to our military. Again, we give out these subs kind of as Christmas gifts. We have people that hit us up and ask us if they can take care of their kids that are overseas, or some other people that are Ohio State fans that are away from home. So we appreciate you so much for doing this for us. What do you think, Nevada? It's heating up in Michigan and Ann Arbor. It's going to be a very, very miserable year next year, I predict, because their schedule sucks and they're going to be up the creek. But your thoughts on Michigan and where they're going to be at next year?
Yeah, I think that I think it's going to be so much fun. I like every day when you're hearing the different thing. Oh, there's an extension. Oh, from Harbaugh said, oh, there's not an extension. Oh, there might be an extension. Oh, there was just the intrigue that's kind of going out there with Michigan right now, because they know, man. I'm telling you, they all know that this is the end of the road. This is, if you saw the documentary, The Last Dance, this is what it is for
Yeah.
Michigan right now. It's the last.
Yeah.
It's the last dance. They're all kind of marching towards the end of the road there with the Alabama game on the first, and then it's all over. And then the shooting starts, and I predict it'll be kind of a spring summer type of thing, where the hammer's going to fall. It's going to fall hard, and there's not going to be any bodies left by the time they get done. That whole thing's just going to blow. And people are like, oh, they're not talk. People aren't talking about it. People have moved on. The NCAA has not moved on. The Big
No.
Ten office has not moved on. Like, those are the only people that you have to worry about moving on. They haven't moved on. The NCAA is so desperate to maintain relevance. The only way they can be relevant in the 2023 world and beyond in college football, the only way that they can find a role for them, how do they find a role in this, is the enforcer of the rules. They have to. That's the only thing that they can do. They can't be the negotiator of contracts. They can't be the, we'll negotiate with the kids. They can't do any of those things. What they can do is enforce the rules. And Michigan broke the rules in the most egregious way possible, including on the field cheating this year, and they're going to get hammered for it, and they're going to get snuked back to the Stone Age, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, they're going to be like the White House versus the aliens at Independence Day. They drop the laser beam on it and it just explodes into dust, and the helicopter crashes. That's what they're going to be like. Will 8282, thanks for the 5. I love this show. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much. Uh, most of the time I can't catch it live, but I always rewatch them. Thanks for always being committed to this. I've also heard a lot of TR of this, so I think that means of this, or a lot for real. But we appreciate you, my man. Again, we try to go around 7:30 ish every night, but we try to stick to around that little window. So if you guys are toggling on your phone or on your smart TV, I mean, you guys can usually see us, find us, because we try to be pretty committed to it. Sunday nights we try to go right between the 4:30 game window and the Sunday night football window. So again, we try to be consistent. We try to have fun with you guys. You guys can kind of earmark when we're going. So again, we appreciate it. It's the best part of our day. Nevada, any thoughts on that? Thank you so much, Will, for the kind words.
Yeah, no, there's just, I mean, look, college football 2023, there's just so much to talk about. It used to be a seasonal sport, and now, I mean, with portal window number one, portal window number two, signing day number one, signing day number two, spring football, summer football, fall football, expanded playoff. I mean, it's a year-round type of activity for us, and we love it. We love talking about it. We love talking about the present, the past, the future, and I cannot wait for the Alabama Michigan viewing party. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. Like I said, I don't want to overhype it. Greatest event in the history. It will be the greatest moment in my life when we watch that together and Alabama rolls forward, like get the 28-point lead in the fourth quarter, and we just all start doing shots every time that they show like Jim Harbaugh like gritting his teeth or doing something like that. And we just all get loaded together and just watch Michigan circle the drain and the end of the Michigan football as we know it. It's going to be glorious.
I can't wait. It'll be such a wonderful night. I hope you guys tune into it because it'll be crazy lit. Sean, Creek guy, thanks for the 5, brother. Again, you're on here every night. Thank you for being a regular. What is the NIL? Oh my God. Speaking of needing a drink, what is the NIL situation at OSU? 1 minute, I hear it's a disaster and they can't raise money, and then I hear they have 7-figure deals for players. Nevada, do you want to take a swing at this, or do you want me to take a swing at this? exceptionally close to this, but if you want to take a swing, have at it.
Nah, no. I'll let you. I'll let you do it, and then I'll do the cleanup on aisle 4 once you're done.
Oh, after I just ace it. Okay, so you know, there's the 1870 Society, which has been an absolute abject disaster since the inception. For whatever reason, Ohio State decided to make them the football NIL official partner, and they kind of demoted Brian Schottenstein and Cardell's group, the Foundation, to basketball. Now, the problem is that 1870 can't raise any money. Like, they don't have major players there. They fired Todd Markowitz, who I think is a solid stand-up dude. He was at the Fan for 30 years. He was their kind of director of marketing, the guy that would go sell radio ads, basically, and knew everybody in town. So they made him the president of 1870, and they gassed him after, I don't know, 9 months, and they fired him. And, I mean, that's a disaster. I mean, you don't hire a guy who leaves like a 25 or 30-year position at the Fan to make him the president. And so, they've got an interim president. They've got a bunch of kids running around that don't really know how to sell anything. They don't really have any ties in Columbus. And, if you just go look at their website and go look at the guys they've sponsored. They sponsored like 3 or 4 guys or 10 guys, but it's not big money. And then you look at the foundation again, like I care about numbers. I don't care about anything else. Like, I think that, like the foundation, they've sponsored a ton of guys on the football team and the basketball team. I think, from people I've talked to on both sides, like the foundation's got an easier job because with basketball, you deal with like, 15 kids tops and 1 or 2 recruits, 3 recruits a year. A lot easier to deal with that than football, where you've got 85 plus, 25 scholarship guys coming in as freshmen, and then you've got portal guys. Like, that's kind of miserable. But I think that there's a decent chance that eventually the foundation replaces 1870 as the new football collective, just because they raise more money. Like, I went to the foundation's event that was at the Schottenstein Center. It was a big event. It raised like decent money, but the thing that struck me was the caliber of people that were there. I mean, it was the who's who. I'm talking guys worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, were all in attendance at that thing. So people can laugh and they can say whatever about Brian and Cardell, but they've got much deeper ties in the business community than these guys do. But I think like the inherent issue with the collectives is that if I'm a $1 billion brand, like say Kroger is the largest grocery store in the entire world. They've got like 50 different brands, but Kroger is a monster. If they want to give Marvin Harrison $4 million to be their face for his senior year, and he does commercials for their produce and drugstore and their chicken wings or whatever, their drive-through pickup or whatever they want to do. Like, why do they have to deal with a collective? Why do they have to deal with 1870 Society? Why do they have to deal with the foundation? The answer is they don't have to. Because, these players all have agents and marketing reps and departments and whatever. And so I don't really understand why they would have to go through a collective to do that. And I especially don't understand why they'd want to go through a for-profit collective, because, the for-profit collectives are taking like 30% of the donations and using it to pay their payroll, because all these guys that are working for the for-profits are getting paid. The nonprofits, guys like Brian Schottenstein's not making any money to do what he does. And I told him, and Brian's a guy that I know, and I'm like, dude, you're an idiot not making any money because you got to deal with all this crap and you get all this abuse and you don't make any money. And Cardell's the same way. And I guess unless they're lying to me, they said they don't make any money doing it. So again, I would never work and do as much work as those guys are doing on that to not get paid. And again, if they lied to me, whatever, but I take people for their word, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. But the guys on the for-profit thing for the 1870 are absolutely getting paid, but they're not really generating any money. So, I think that a lot of the 7-figure deals are coming directly from corporations like Kroger, like some of the bigger players in Columbus, and they don't have to deal with a collective. So that's, I think, where some of the wires can get crossed, and people can be like, well, I heard our collectives suck, but these guys are getting these big deals. I'm like, well, if these guys are getting cars, the cars are all leases from local car dealerships like Reichert, like Wahlberg, like whatever. And the players don't own these cars. They're just leases for, a set period of time, usually 6 months. And if a kid transfers, he has to give the car back. If a kid declares for the draft, he has to give the car back. And you switch out their cars, as need be. Like if Trey Henderson's in a new, pimped out Camaro, he's not going to have that in the winter. We'll put him in an F-150 or something where, an Explorer or something he can drive in the winter. So there's kind of like a rotational thing there, but the players don't own any of these cars. It's like when you saw Bijan Robinson tooling around in a Lamborghini Urus, like he didn't own that car. Like Shador Sanders doesn't own that, that Rolls Royce, unless his dad bought it for him. Those are all just leases or like a lender program where the people get the cars back after a set period of time. Because no dealership is that flush with cash. They're just going to give away $100,000 car or a $500,000 car if it's a Lambo or whatever. They just let them use it, and then they can say, "Oh, hey, rich Texas guy, this was Bijan's purple Lamborghini Urus. Do you want to buy it?" And, "Oh yeah, of course, I want to buy Bijan's Lambo." So, but I think that and again, I'm just trying to be fair, because I can be very critical of the collectives. It's an exceptionally difficult job to raise money in a collective when we don't have like a Phil Knight or a guy who's worth 9 figures or a billionaire at the top of it, just because I think that that's kind of is what it is. But what are your thoughts on it, Nevada?
Yeah, I think you need that guy. I mean, you need that guy.
No, you absolutely do.
Yeah, you have to have that guy. And that's why I've started a website called BurkeCartonNIL.com, where Burke is going to go out there. Kirk Barton is really the ideal guy to do this, but the problem is we need him at the scoop. But like, if you and I were running the NIL, dude, we would dominate this thing. We would kill it. But
Easily.
Easily. But like, it just, I watch it and it's just like a slow motion train wreck. I know what's going to happen on this stuff. I can predict what's going to happen, and we've seen it happen. We've tried to help out when we can, but I can tell you, as a person who has given money to Ohio State, I haven't given one penny to NIL because I don't like the pitch. I don't like the pitch.
No.
The let's get CJ Stroud a second mink coat doesn't resonate with me, and I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Let's get Kyle McCord a Mercedes Maybach. He was driving a Mercedes Maybach, and like, do I want to be part of that? I don't want to be part of that. That doesn't, I mean, that makes no sense to me. I'd rather go burn my money at the Sapphire than spend it there.
Yeah, and that was like, I mean, if I'm his dad, I'm like, look, dude, if you want to make yourself a target, go drive a $250,000 Benz, but he should have got an F-150 or like a pickup, like a work truck. Like that's what Brady drove his first few years. Now, obviously, Brady, when we get towards the end, he was driving whatever he wanted, but initially, like when you're the quarterback and you want to be a tone setter, like you drive a pickup truck. It's a work truck. We're going to work today. We're going to grind today. You don't show up in some like douchebag Mercedes car. And again, because the problem is when you do that, everyone will use it against you. When you throw out picks and you suck the big one against Michigan, all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, well, if you weren't driving your Maybach all over town, maybe it'd be a little bit better. But it's kind of how it is. But again, there's my little nickel assessment of our NIL. But like, again, here's my biggest thing. I talked to some of the biggest donors at Ohio State, guys that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not $1 billion. And I asked them, have you been hit up by these foundations or any of these? And they all say no, or I've been hit up one time. And I'm like, well, that's not sales. Like you don't sell something, call someone one time and they magically just buy, I mean, you got to call them and get to know them and go meet them. And I'm talking mega names in the Ohio State community. They've been hit up like one time. So again, all it is. Sean Rawlings, thanks for the 5. I love the show, Kirk. I'm a Portsmouth guy. Love Portsmouth. He's in Worcester, Ohio. Shout out the Worcester Generals. They were in the Federal League when I played. Roll damn Tide. Absolutely. Screw those Walmart Wolverines. So that is a lot to digest. Portsmouth is awesome. I love Southern Ohio. Again, Portsmouth is legit. Again, that's where one of our best friends, Arnold Thurgoman, he's from Portsmouth. We go down there. We go to the river. We have a blast. Southern Ohio is legit. Down by Marshall, down on the river. So tough neck of the woods, Ironton. So we love our Southern Ohio boys, and we know you guys roll deep in here, and you guys usually roll around. You guys have a good time. You guys drink every bar dry, and you guys get in fist fights and clear out the bars. So I love my Southern Ohio boys. Please do not fight me because you guys will probably kill me, but you guys are bad dudes, and I appreciate you. Phil Rapp, thanks to the 5. Appreciate you. I'm Navy. Again, I love the Navy. Again, my father-in-law is a Navy guy. He's my absolute one of my closest friends, confidants, role model. So big Navy guy. So I'm Navy. Appreciate your service and your support. Thanks for what you're doing with the super chats. What's a tough matchup Ohio State will have with Missouri? Nevada, do you want to dig into this? Do you want me to take a shot at it? I think that the speed on the perimeter of Missouri will be interesting. See how we defend that. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, clearly that's going to be the big match. The big matchup is going to be the Missouri offense versus the OSU defense. I think, uh, the Missouri defense isn't great. It's not a great defensive unit. It's not a great defensive unit statistically against the run or against the pass, and so it's really going to come down to how much chaos they'll take some chances. They'll blitz a lot. How much chaos can they cause with the OSU offense? How much disruption can they do? Um, but no, the game is going to be the Missouri offense, which is pretty high powered against the OSU defense. It's going to be a great, chess match. Yeah, they're a team that likes to throw the ball down the field, and I think it's kind of strength versus strength because that's what's OSU's best at is matching up and matching up against those wide receivers, and so I think it's a great matchup for Ohio State. I think the betting line is Ohio State getting points, which I think is ridiculous. So I'm telling you, I think the betting public has got this one wrong. I think they bought into the narrative that Ohio State is somehow, in this huge disarray, and that Devin, while obviously it's some degradation in quarterback play going from Kyle McCord, who's had 12, 13 starts under his belt, to Devin Brown. I think OSU is going to be able to compensate for that with the guys that they have returning. I think they're going to be able to get it done. So I know I'm betting the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that tough matchup. Again, I think it's going to be, depending on if we have JT Tuimoloau, the pass rush, if Kenyatta Jackson has to be the guy with Caden opposite Jack Sawyer. Do we get Mike Hall back? Tyleek already committed to playing the game. So we got to get pass rush. We got to heat this quarterback up a little bit. I think that's going to be critical. Again, this head coach, that guy's a cocky little douchebag. So I'd want to get out. If I'm Ryan, man, I got all those quotes, his little Connor Stallions quip that was real cute to Fowler and Herb Street and all those idiots. Like, I mean, I'd have all that in the holster ready to go because you want to make light of that stuff. I mean, that Stallion stuff costs C.J. Stroud his Heisman, so I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny getting humiliated at home like we did when they're cheating like they were. So again, I'd be all gassed up, ready to go. The Mountain. Again, he lost to the Hound in the second to last Game of Thrones episode, but I love the Mountain. He was a great character. Absolutely one of the legends of the Game of Thrones. Thanks to the 5. With so much misinformation out there, what's a great, reliable source? I mean, our site, we've been crushing. I mean, we got Luke Montgomery playing right guard. We put that in a nugget today. He's playing a lot of guard in ball practice. They're getting a look at him inside. I think that they really want to see if Luke can play right guard and they keep Fryer at tackle. But I really think that they want Fryer. I know Josh Fryer wants to play guard next year. So you got to figure out, what's the right configuration between Josh at right guard, right tackle versus Luke at tackle versus Tigra versus George Fitzpatrick versus Carson Hinzman at center. Like, I mean, you've got a bunch of guys that have played a lot of positions, and who fits where doing what is something that you get to figure out over these next 3 days of practice. I mean, again, these, if I'm some of these young linemen, O-line, D-line, young CJ Hicks and these guys, I'm watching 300 get gassed up for practice tomorrow. Like, this is not a game. Like, this is when you kind of claim your spot. I remember my freshman year during ball practice, man, it was like a war every day because you scrimmage a lot. I mean, especially if you're a guy that doesn't play. I mean, they put the screws to you, and you get a lot of reps, and you move the field, you drive the ball a little bit, and you get to really put it on some guys. And like when you're in season, you don't get to do that because you're playing scout team and whatever. So you don't get to like play good on good and kind of prove your worth as to where you should be on the depth chart when spring starts. But I think that BuckeyeScoop.com, we've broken more information than every other site combined. So I would check us out. Nevada, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as recently as breaking the McCord story before any national media had that.
We had that on Sunday night, like literally.
Yeah, that was the biggest story out there. People couldn't believe it when we broke that one. But no, you just got to ask yourself. I mean, look, people know. We don't have to. You don't have to tell. But look, we're the only site that's not beholden to Ohio State. Every other site they've got to carry the water. They've got to toe the line. They've got to do their thing. Because if they don't, get their credentials pulled, and we don't care. We don't have credentials. We're not at the press conferences. We don't care. So Ohio State, we don't care. There's nothing you can do to us. So we'll tell you the straight scoop, and you guys will determine whether or not that's where you're going to get the reliable information from. But we don't carry anybody's water. We're going to tell you how it is, and good, bad, indifferent, and we love Ohio State. So the good Ohio State is so lucky because Kirk and I both love Ohio State. We have an interest in making sure Ohio State does well because we have a business that's based on Ohio State doing well. Because otherwise, man, we'd nuke the site. If we wanted to nuke the site, we would drop like the A bomb on it. But we don't. So they're so lucky that we are kind-hearted and greedy enough to want to keep the site going well. But it's like, I mean, they're very fortunate that we're so benevolent. But yes,
we're like we'd be like Scoopenheimer, a very new nickname.
Yes, exactly.
Scoopenheimer. This is a hilarious question. This is not a super chat. I'm gonna throw this up here. Bruce Buckner, what's the last time a white quarterback beat Michigan? Todd Beckman in 07. I got that one because I was there. That is a hilarious question because I had to think about that for a second. But I think it was Todd because we had like Joe Bowerman didn't play. We had Braxton, then we had McCord. But yeah, it's been a hot minute. Well, we are slowing up a little bit. Appreciate you guys as always. Nevada, final thoughts as we wrap this thing up. This thing's been a monster show. Great questions. Absolute awesome audience participation in the chats. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, just mark it down. Michigan, Alabama, watch party. We're not going to do a watch party for the Ohio State game because we're going to be too nervous and too keyed up to do it. But we're going to experiment with it on the first 3 days later after Ohio State's great victory in the Cotton Bowl. We're going to have a big celebration of life on January 1st, Michigan, Alabama watch party, and we're going to all watch Michigan go down the drain. So let's go.
I totally agree. Joshua, super chat right at the buzzer. You guys love sending these in right at the buzzer. I love it. Thanks for the deuce. How important is running back really in 2023? I think it's exceptionally important. I think having a great tailback, again, Ezekiel wasn't that long ago when he led us to the championship in 14. And I think Trey is a guy that if he's healthy, he's a difference maker in this game. I think you look at the best teams in football, they've got good running backs. They've got good running games. I mean, Blake Horn beat us, up at Michigan. So, I think that it's kind of, like Bama last year at Jahmyr Gibbs. I think it's just one of those things where it depends on how good of a guy you have. But I think having an outstanding running back really changes the dynamic of your team, especially when you're trying to grind the clock out if you're ahead by a lot. So, Nevada, we got a final super chat as we wrap this thing, unless people send more super chats in, then we can keep the thing going. How important is running back in 2023?
I mean, I think it's really important. I think it's a key linchpin to kind of keep defenses honest, and that's why I love guys like Xavier. I love guys like Xavier that you can kind of flex out of the backfield. You can throw the ball. You can run the orbit motion too. I like guys that you kind of get the have that versatility of the options. I think they're really kind of their unsung key to the OSU offense, and the OSU offense is going well. Ryan Day's utilizing those guys liberally, and when we slow down, that's when we tend to go away from them. So I think it's a really, really key piece.
I totally agree. You drink it $2 just to say the word overalls because I think that was the big hit of yesterday was the overalls. I'm surprised I didn't get a moo-moo because I mean the moo-moo, we get to 50,000 subs. I will do the show in a scoop moo-moo. I'll get a custom order to 75 XL or 10 XL or 56 pants or whatever you guys said. So I will get a scoop moo-moo, and I'll probably have to stand up and show off the full regalia, but I will do that. We get to 50,000 subs. Scoop moo-moo will be on, and we will probably go for 6 hours. I'll be jacked for that. So, but we appreciate you guys. I think we're going to wrap this thing up. Again, it's been a blast of a show. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. As always, we love kicking it with you guys every night. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like. The likes are humongous for this channel and for this video. They help it get up in the algorithm, so we appreciate you guys doing that. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button. Also, click subscribe, send this to your friends, family, anybody who's ever heard of Ohio State football, send it to them, text it to them, spread the good word. We appreciate you guys as always. If you like our live shows, click that little alert bell. You'll get an alert every time we go live on your phone, so you can tune it into your phone, your iPad, your computer, your TV, whatever you guys watch on. But we appreciate you guys so much. Again, the super chats are humongous. We had a massive number of them tonight, so thank you guys. They're going directly to our military, to our Pay It Forward fund. Again, we like to give out 1-year memberships every year around this time for Christmas. And again, it helps people kind of cope with being away from their family. So thank you for supporting our military and our first responders. That being said, as always, if you enjoy this content, join BuckeyeScoop.com. It is a party 24 hours a day, and our website is absolutely insane right now with the number of people that are on it constantly at all hours of the day. It never ceases to amaze me. I can get up in the middle of the night, and there'll be people on there debating stuff. It is crazy, but we really appreciate you guys that are all on BuckeyeScoop.com. That being said, I hope you guys have a great rest tonight. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Look for us around 7. We'll be ready to rock and kick it with you guys. So thank you all. Go Bucks.